My name is Bruno Dalton Sewanyi, a proud Ugandan from St. Andrew Kagwagombe High School. And one of the reasons why I love Uganda is the political climate. Oh my lord, Uganda is such a peaceful country in that anyone can survive, be it a foreigner, a refugee, whatever. Uganda is so peaceful. There's also the women empowerment, whereby even the female gender is not overlooked, but rather everyone is treated equally. Like Uganda is one of those countries, maybe thanks to the government, but Uganda human rights are actually taken a serious issue, and that's why I very much love Uganda.
My name is Dakamaya Darcy. I'm a proud Ugandan and I'm proud of Uganda because of its vegetation that favors good weather.
My name is Nagai Daisy and I'm Ugandan. I'm proud to be a Ugandan because Uganda is one of the countries with the best culture. Uganda has one of my favorite foods, that's matoke and peanuts.
My name is Christiana Kenya. I'm a proud Ugandan and I love Uganda for the diverse food it has, the mandazi, everything. You can find a lot of food stalls around and get different varieties of things to eat. Yes.
My name is Suzito Hatna. I'm a proud Ugandan because our Jaja is really funny and he caters for with the youth in his decisions, and that's why I love Uganda.
My name is Nachitene Maria Brianna and I'm a proud Ugandan because I love the beautiful sceneries in Uganda. So you should try visiting Uganda and see what I mean.
Get your favorite health tips right here on U24. Maintain your kidney by drinking 8 to 10 glasses of water each day. This can be in form of soup, tea, water, cooked grains, and boiled vegetables.
Hello, my name is Erica Murunchi and welcome to Be Inspired by Erica. So today I want to talk about personal hygiene. Personal hygiene is not just a habit, it is a way of life. By maintaining personal hygiene, you will reduce stress, improve on your focus, show respect for yourself and others around you, to the people around you. Take care of your space and your life. Keep your room tidy, wash your hands, cut your fingernails, comb your hair, brush your teeth, and many others. Take care of your space and your life. Brush your teeth, make your bed, bathe, cut your fingernails, comb your hair, and many others. Make cleanliness a habit. Personal hygiene should be a priority. Cleanliness is next to godliness. Stay blessed. Much love. Thanks for watching.
my name is Kishabel Kulabako. Yes, Kulabako. I'm a proud Ugandan for quite a number of things. For one, I'm mixed race, so I'm half Ugandan from my mom's side, and I live with all of them. So I've grown up here, and everyone is so sweet, and it's like everyone is a big family, and that's one of the many reasons I love Uganda.
Hi, my name is Doreen Tuhirire, coming to you from Be Money Wiser, and we're going to be bringing to you the hashtag 100 Ways to Be Money Wiser by Mrs. T. Tilda Nabandra. We're going to be running this hashtag 100 Ways to Be Money Wiser on U24 television. Don't miss out.
U24. Don't miss on U24.
Entrepreneurs Hub, giving you a deep and unique insight into agribusiness, services, ICT and innovation, industrialization and so much more. Entrepreneurs Hub, growing your small, medium and large business entity. With yours truly, Sandra Kahunde.
My name is Erica Murunchi and welcome back to Be Inspired by Erica. Hope you're fine. So today I want to talk about meaningful friendships. Friendships are important to us because they help us relate with others. For example, family, cousins, and friends at school, and many others. How do you make those friendships meaningful? Surround yourself with people who inspire, uplift, and support you. Meaningful friendships are a treasure, and having them in your life can bring joy. Invest in friendships that nourish your mind, heart, and soul. Remember, meaningful friendships are a two-way street. Be willing to show up, listen, and support, and you'll find that same love and support you gave will come back to you. Stay blessed. Much love.
The National Leadership Institute Center right in Kyankwanzi actually does host a number of leadership conversations. This time we did have the NRM retreat and particularly MPs-elect, but also amazingly we did have some of the opposition members being able to join the conversation, and as well as different topics of conversation from leadership, but also accountability to transformation in terms of the socio-economic entities, but also so many other issues were raised. Now today we discuss what is the youth perspective on the Kyankwanzi unfoldings and what are some of these unfoldings that have actually been happening for the past days. And of course this is Trassyleen Ankunda hosting you right here on Youth of Purpose on U24 television, your #1 youth development and education channel. And as usual, I am not alone in studios. I do have with me a team of young and youthful people that have been able to join us. I do have with me Abenaitwe Manful, who is a former MP aspirant for Western Regional Youth MP on the FDC ticket. I also do have with me Karuhanga Ronald, who is a lawyer but also a youth leader all the way from Bunyangabo district and as the district youth chairperson. I do also have Phiona Asinde Proscovia all the way from Tororo district that will be able to give us a brief but also an understanding on what we think actually the unfoldings were and what they mean to young people. And as usual, I usually allow them a minute or less to tell us more about themselves, and then we get our conversation starting. And I'll start with you, Karuhanga. You're welcome to this show for the very first time.
It's such an honor. I must say I'm profoundly delighted and exceedingly humbled making my maiden appearance on this show of Youth with Purpose. As you elaborately described me, I can't add much. I am Ronald Karuhanga, a lawyer by profession, also a national youth leader with the National Youth Council, a representative for Bunyangabo district, where I am the district youth council chairperson, and also generally a very enthusiastic youth chairperson and youth advocate at large. Very delighted to be on this show.
Thank you so much, Karuhanga, and you're welcome to this show, Youth of Purpose, for the very first time. And next is Manful, who's also making his first appearance on this show. Kindly say hello to our viewers and tell us who you are.
Thank you, Tracy, for having me here. My name is Manful Abenaitwe, a former member of parliament candidate to represent the youth of Western region in the 12th parliament, and a youth leader at the FDC, a member of the National Executive Committee for the Forum for Democratic Change Youth League, and a political activist which I have served for almost 10 years in quest for good governance in our great nation. I'm glad to be here with my colleague youth leaders, Karuhanga and Phiona. I hope we shall have a good deliberation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Manful, and you're welcome to this show for the very first time. Next to Manful is Phiona. Phiona, kindly say hello to our viewers.
Hello everyone. My name is Asinde Phiona Proscovia. I act in the capacity of Secretary of Female Affairs of the mighty Tororo District, one of the biggest districts that we have in the country. I'm so humbled and delighted to be here, and I'm so glad that I'll be sharing my insights and what I think of the just concluded NRM retreat in regards to what I think its impact will be in the 2026-2031 term of the MPs.
Thank you so much, Phiona. And I will begin it off with you, definitely. Talking about leadership, talking about Kyankwanzi, but also talking about a representation of over 300 members of parliament. And luckily this time we have many young people actually come on board, not just on youth positions, but even on direct seats as well as women member of parliament positions. The days and the struggles and the understanding of coherency, but also of unity, and appreciating the art of leadership in whole. What is your perspective on actually the Kyankwanzi retreat generally?
Thank you so much. That's a very interesting question, especially now that we are in times where the parliament perhaps has become a home for even us young people. It accommodates us in different capacities, unlike the previous days where we would be having only young people on the affirmative action. Young people have actually beaten the society odds, and we have many of them going through the direct seats, women members of parliament, and that's really amazing and promising. At the retreat, I got an opportunity to look through the guidelines or the programs that were taking place at Kyankwanzi. Personally, I was so happy about what was being discussed. Honestly speaking, the discussions that were taking place in Kyankwanzi are ones that are so paramount at such a times in our country. Very many resolutions were made that are so important in discussing issues of national importance. And I must say that perhaps maybe I'm an NRM, yeah, but I think this is something that even other opposition or other political parties should adopt. It's a time because the members of parliament are almost swearing in May, so the retreat was a period of them realigning their manifestos, because it didn't only absorb the NRM but even the NRM leaning independent candidates. So it is an opportunity for them to align their manifestos, what they promised the people, with the interests of the government. All have to agree that at the moment it is the NRM government in power, and the theme of the retreat was aligning the NRM leaders towards protecting the gains and making qualitative leap to the higher middle income status society. And I think this is an interesting topic, because we all have to agree that as a country are trying to transition and go into the higher middle income status. And if the legislators, the people who are in charge of the laws, people who make the laws that govern most of the things, because everything about this country, there's a law that governs it, are not informed about the intentions, about what we envision, or do not know what is expected out of them, it means we are in dilemma. But if they can come together and they are aligned, because you see, when you're contesting, in most cases you even ask for votes, or your manifesto is aligned by what people say around or what you think is the needs of your community. But after getting out of your village, from Ongongoja, from wherever, and you come to the August House, there are things that must align your discussions. You don't just shout or make noise like someone who's coming from a kraal or from the pens, or from the sty with pigs. There are things that are so paramount. Yes. And since they are going to swear in next month, it was a timely intervention. Yeah.
Interesting. Maybe I'll be able to ask you this later, if you as the National Youth Council have then now emulated the same kind of leadership training, because if you want people to first get into those offices, fully swear in, and then you start training them, or should it be usually a pre-event before actually you take on office? But let me get you, Manful, talking about Kyankwanzi leadership training, but also particularly that you are a member of the Forum for Democratic Change. What does this mean to you as a broader young person who is in different advocacy areas, and generally to the young people of Uganda?
Thank you so much. First and foremost, I appreciate the fact that between the young leaders from the National Resistance Movement, which is sometimes called the Mighty. But, and on the same point, I want to appreciate the fact that the NRM has organized a retreat for its members of parliament that have been elected. But my own challenge is that the National Leadership Institute at Kyankwanzi has been zeroed down to a political party institute. When you look at the Nali in Kyankwanzi, it is some kind of an NRM institution or institute. But nevertheless, I believe that the members of parliament, especially these that are newcomers that are coming into the August House for the first time, need such kind of retreats, such kind of engagement with the senior leaders, because they had the MPs that have been there before. So I believe it is a credit to the NRM leaving other factors constant, like a few factors that I've mentioned about.
So maybe to pick it again from there, when we talk about Parliament, yes, the NRM has the majority, but where does this leave the gap in terms of opposition members of Parliament that are not able to align themselves with this national priority in terms of understanding as deep as this emphasis is made, but also if you could also comment on the fact that we did have actually members like Norbert Mao join in at the Kyankwanzi. Was it significant, or is it just for show off, or is it that it is timely?
No, I believe this was a political party event, and I understand the fact that I come from the Forum for Democratic Change. I understand that my party has also had the same retreat with our members of parliament that have been elected to join the 12th parliament. I understand that the National Unity Platform had a retreat for its members of parliament that have been elected. So this does not leave the opposition political parties away, because this was specifically a one-party organized event. And when you speak about the opposition members being among, and the honorary, speak about the Honorable Norbert Mao. I feel the Honorable Norbert Mao being an aspirant for speakership, it was good for him to be part of that engagement, because he was meeting up the members who he wants to lead in the August House. And still, the Honorable Norbert Mao comes from the Democratic Party, which political party actually has an agreement in the National Resistance Movement. And when the little that I have seen, I saw him being referred to as President Museveni's visitor. So he is not representing the opposition, or he was not representing the opposition in the retreat.
Thank you, thank you. Of course, to him as a guest, he said he's a guest of the president. But let me get to you, Karuhanga. When we talk about Kyankwanzi, especially in a youth perspective, and perhaps maybe with the members of parliament all the way from Bunyangabo, I had to see some of them were given a chance to actually make presentations. What do you make, or what do you comment of that? And also generally what you're understanding at the beginning of this leadership training center and the Kyankwanzi retreat is about.
Thank you so much, our able host Trassyleen, for the question. I think it's also proper in a minute I just make a little hint or a rebuttal to what Comrade Manful Abenaitwe talked about from the Mighty Forum for Democratic Change. There are very big misconceptions. A majority of the Ugandans watching us, without fear of criticism, do not understand the spirit in which the National Leadership Institute or the caucus, the NRM retreat, is summoned. I saw the other day the Honorable Norbert Mao expounding a little bit about what this retreat, informs retreat. In the first place, for starters, it would be good practice that this retreat is not limited only to members of parliament. It should be expanded and taken to the whole Ugandan populace. Why? In countries like Israel, model countries like Singapore, people are taken to activities of this nature. In Lee Kuan Yew's Singapore, they take them for national service. They tell them about priorities of the country. You saw them wearing military gear. It's the other thing you didn't talk about, but all that is legally permitted because they are sort of orienting them, telling them a few things they should know even before you embark on any responsibility or play for any team. You first go through training so that you deliver the way Messi does. That is the spirit in which it's summoned. Yes, the opposition are not limited from going to Kyankwanzi if they ever deem so, because the National Leadership Institute is under the office of the presidency. It is established by the power of your taxpayers' money, where Mr. Abenaitwe is also a taxpayer. So everybody can access Kyankwanzi through the right protocols. You can write to the director. In the past, we've taken there even youth leaders to learn more about leadership. But generally, the public needs to really appreciate the things they do at Kyankwanzi. Though Now, it's something I saw in the spotlight the other day, the speaker aspirant from Masindi district, Honorable Simu Akiki, was criticizing the quality of the facilities there. I think those are the things they should take into consideration. But my general bigger picture, we need mandatory military and national service for our people in the country to incorporate a spirit of nationalism. MPs are just a broader and simple picture. But we need a system where people should be oriented and they take in a spirit of knowing what it takes to serve your country. These little problems we are facing will be gone. In North Korea, actually, they do it, in Singapore, Israel, and you can see the results and the mode of thinking the citizens get after such trainings. You went about the MPs who are given presentations, especially on priorities. Actually, my own member of parliament, Honorable Victor Kalenzi for Bunyangabo, pitched to the president an issue I saw that wasn't being given enough attention. It was an issue to do with health. And was hinting on people doing medical tourism to countries in the diaspora, paying millions. He actually alluded to something that made me a bit emotional. He said, me, I want to enjoy my 300 million they are going to give me for purchasing a vehicle. Is I have my son who is admitted in India because we can't handle some of these things. But to my shock, the moderator on that show, the magnitude of the problem he was advancing, it is very terrible that he was even given very few minutes. I felt like this is typical to the parliament we are having. We should go, do we have people who advance issues of that caliber? I can imagine in a scenario where we are in a parliament of over 500, I'm just estimating, and all of them are trying to pick the attention of the speaker, to speak on things which carry serious magnitude, but somebody is just given 1 minute, even if he's an expert. Everybody is scrambling and the whole parliament session turns into looks like a circus or a bazaar of the sort. So at the end of the day, it would also be a call even beyond this season. Yes, the MPs should, what they did is very right, because they are being equipped to deliver to somebody back there who can't afford a hospital. As some of them, the issues they were raising, of course, they informed the national consensus along the way. But at the end of the day, for you voters, the MPs you voted, it is what you will get at the end of the day. I'm not being ironical, but in the near future, we have to be intentional. Who represents us? Are they presenting issues for themselves or the issues that really affect the ordinary Ugandan? So my call should be in that line that in this parliament actually, and more so to the speaker who will eventually become one, people who really you think you deem have what it takes to mention issues that are really worthy on the hands. It should not just be a whole bucket of feathers, but people can speak substance on issues that tickle the taxpayers deep down. Should be given greater consideration. That's my take.
Thank you. And that's amazing. You speak about, I think, which I would call quality over quantity.
Exactly.
It shouldn't be that 20 MPs or even 100 MPs are given 1 hour to present, and what they are presenting is not actually taken as serious as it should be, or it shouldn't be a time of fighting to say something before the president. But of course, we do also appreciate the MPs that were able to represent or pitch in the different perspective in terms of different national issues. And as I get to you, Phiona, one of the ideas or one of the speeches that were made, and I'll pick out an individual, Honorable Justin Namere, who highlighted on the issue of corruption. Now, as a member of parliament, as she is, and particularly a woman member of parliament, corruption has continued to be at the front line of so many things that it has led to disservice, and particularly largely even on the women themselves. What suggestions do you think could be made possible in terms of fighting corruption, but also what representation should it be right from members of parliament, but also to us as youth leaders?
First and foremost, this retreat, whereas it was done, they came up with resolutions. And one of the resolutions that was paid key attention to, because when you go into the resolutions the members of parliament came up with, and the ones they had committed, and almost, if they were given Bibles, and maybe deep down in their hearts, they actually took the oath. They promised that they were going to make sure, especially on the legislative oversight, they promised us that they are going to align first and foremost, they ensure that they are going to enforce personal integrity so that it safeguards the public trust. You see, right now, the only challenge we have in this country is public trust. Corruption is there, yes, but over time, you also have to agree that they are trying to drive corruption out of this country. But because there's no public trust, even when they tell you in that office, actually, you cannot bribe, you do not believe until you try and see if it actually works out.
Or you want to bribe for your own benefit.
Or you want to bribe and then maybe try and see what will come out of it. So one of the things that out of the resolution, some of the things that really made me feel like this country, if whatever they said is what they intend to do, and gave me hope that you're actually on the right track. I was so impressed by when they say that they want to support the recruitment of competency in all government agencies. We all have to agree that in many of the government agencies we are faced with a challenge of incompetency. Someone holds a public office, and the way they handle that office, you wonder, how did this person end in this office? The way they deliver is wanting. The way they deliver puts us in a dilemma, puts the country in a dilemma that you even wonder what's taking place. So, and the members of parliament in their resolution say that they want to support the recruitment of competent permanent secretaries, under secretaries, and other officials on merit. In regards to also corruption, they also say that they would ensure competent recruitment of chairpersons of board, and even introduce term limits as a way on reducing corruption. We all have to agree that if someone stays in power for long, I don't want to criticize, but if someone stays in power for long, you create a system of non-touchables. People who think there is nothing that can be done to them. And it's a lacuna that happens, that gap creates now people who think they can get anything in a way they wish or they think. And that's how corruption is staying in this country. Someone, because they know their daughter to a general, what are you telling them? Even if they have a past degree, they would get onto whatever role or anything they want to do, even when it's against the law. But then also the members of parliament promised or committed themselves in working and strengthening the anti-corruption unit. They promised that they are going to work hand in hand and make sure that all the resources that there needs to be is there, so that the anti-corruption unit, and I'm also happy that the deputy inspectorate of the deputy IGP, Dr. Patricia, was there, and she was given an opportunity to talk and address some of these issues to the parliamentarians. So it tells us that the resolutions that were made in regards to fighting corruption are one that we actually think are the ones that should be working. You see, the only challenge we have with this country, we have very beautiful rules written on paper. Actually, when I was reading through the resolution and when I was listening, I was so happy. And in my heart, I was just hoping, let this do not end on paper. Because actually, when you read through the resolutions, you actually believe, wow, so these people are this intentional. It shows intentionality. And I'm so glad that one of the areas they have decided that they are going to focus on is an issue of corruption.
Interesting. Let me get to Manful. Let me get to Manful. Talking about issues on national and socio-economic transformation, and you know, there's a saying that easier said than done. I don't know, I cannot say that this is the very first time we are talking about the issue of corruption, and neither can I say this is the very first time we are talking about leadership that is wanting. When we talk about
leadership training, how sustainable, and I'm not even looking at it with just NRM alone, I'm looking at it with even the opposition political parties, because power and the different shifts and control, particularly when you look at even other political parties, they've had the same secretary generals for a long time, they are not willing to shift, and it's the same in spaces even when you go to other institutions. How do we inculcate the spirit of reasonability, but also inclusion in terms of what ideas do we bring in, rather than I am so and so? And I bring this from an angle that these are MPs who actually, most of them paid money to earn votes. Parliament, that the 11th Parliament has around 60% that will not be coming back in the 12th Parliament, which means that there is a big, huge gap that has been dealt away with. But how honest is it going to be in terms of where people keep saying, I need money for this, I need money for this, and they trusted that you would actually do that?
Thank you so much, Trassyleen. Before I go any further, I want to let Ugandans understand that the retreat was a combination of different activities, not limiting to trainings on gun shoots. Not limiting how it ended at one of the president's farm in Nakaseke, and ending up, the president giving each member of parliament 100 millions. 100 millions, which actually total up to 37 billions. Yes. That can do something a lot in this country in sectors like education and health, which are lacking. On top of the MPs that actually, after swearing in, are going to get 315 millions for a car. This was an increase because in the past, in the last parliament, they received 200 millions for a car. Now they have increased, by 60% of what the last MPs received. I like it, and I appreciate some of the colleagues, some of the MPs that made presentations that were eye-catching and were direct to the issues that concern this our nation. If I can give an example of, I might not recall his name, one of the MPs from Uheju district, who made a good presentation on infrastructure. No wonder he had worked with the Minister of Defense and under the infrastructure. You would see that he has some good idea, he has something to put on table for Ugandans.
Competence.
But I also saw some members, who just got a chance to make a presentation before the president. Someone telling the president how she was contesting, my sister from Vura, I think, how she was contesting with 8 men, So that is not what we want to hear as Ugandans. When you get the microphone, at least we need you to speak about matters that concern the nation. But
I think for that she was asked actually by the president to align towards that, but then you can continue.
Maybe that, but
maybe he's talking about there's a one of Namisindwa who wanted to be protected by the president.
Yeah.
Who's an orphan where they want to take her, is it to court?
They're saying she's not Ugandan.
They're saying she's not Uganda, so she wants to be protected.
The point is on.
But there are some who made, because we saw many making presentations. That's why we appreciate some.
Yes.
And I want to agree with my brother that they should not all get 22 hours to make presentations. They don't have the same capacity as legislators. We have seen these people and we know who is cream, they are cream. So I appreciate that some direct to the issues that concern the nation. And before I forget, I also want to speak about, I saw one of the facilitators who came from the ruling party of Kenya. The Secretary General of the UDA.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I saw his post on Facebook where he was saying he had come to make a presentation on East African community, not limiting it to Pan-Africanism, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And when I saw, actually I failed to get his clips until when I asked some of the UDA members who I share with the WhatsApp group, and they shared me the clips. And I saw the Secretary General actually making a speech. That's why even I replied to that colleague of mine from the UDA, and actually she works at the Secretariat of UDA in Kenya. I said, no, your Secretary General was making a speech, not a presentation. And I felt if it was about Pan-Africanism and the East African community, because the East African community itself has some challenges, I thought they would have opted to get the Pan-Africans that we have, the likes of Professor Mumba, who have actually spoken about the East African community, the Pan-Africanism. But I didn't. Personally, I did not like the way it went on presentation of East African community, because I understand the East African community still has a long journey to move. And we pray that our countries, our sister countries, come on board, and we have a strong community.
Interesting. Thank you. Let me get to you, Karuhanga. And my question has briefly been hinted on by Manful. When we talk about being intentional on addressing some of these challenges, the Vice President made a comment and said that young people particularly should learn to live within their means. And I'll put it maybe to the newly elected members of parliament, should learn to live within their means and ensure that they are not living a status that is not hard for them to maintain, especially that they are new faces in parliament, but also alive to the fact that they are able to get some of these other benefits. Let me get to Karuhanga. When we mention something like that, and then MPs are offered 100 million just straight away, how easy is it going to be able to be seen in a way that, oh, actually they can be able to live within their means? Because if people receive 100 million today, tomorrow perhaps they expect 200 or they expect 500 million. How easy is it to align the perspective of what is taught vis-a-vis receiving that money? One could say, yes, we are giving them this money so that they do not pitch onto the other money. But what is the reality? What is your comment on that?
For starters, it's the Honorable Norbert Mao who always controversially says the fish begins to rot from the head. Alive to the dynamics prevailing in this country, it's very unfortunate. An expedition of being a member of parliament is not just a walk in the park. You have to part with billions on average, like 2 billion to be in parliament. Some even go more, some even 10, some even 5. So the whole process from inception is a very messed up one. And our populace is not alive really to the actual roles of a member of parliament. However much I see parliament always tries to publicize these are the roles of parliament, oversight, budget appropriation. But in the first place, before going to parliament, they part with a lot of money. Sometimes it's not even about merit. I was seeing, is it Rhoda Karema, one of the first few women to make it to the August House. They fundraised for her. If I have my record right, they fundraised for her, the very first woman MP when we had the first parliament under Milton Obote then, the post-independent Uganda. But now things have changed drastically. When you say living within their means, as per the clip of a senior legislator like the Vice President, Jessica Lupo, yes, by virtue of her experience, she has been there quite for a while. See MPs being indebted, some of them being rolled by money lenders. We've seen it in the news. The more money you make, the bigger the problems. And actually, I think this stems from the pressures within the constituency, living beyond their means. Some of them, before they even went to parliament, some of them took out loans in the money lenders with assurance they will pay back when they go back to parliament. You get? It should also go back to the voters. Even our civic duty to keep sensitizing the voters begins immediately we finish the previous election. Next time, you see people with a vision who are going to take you, who are going to do the actual roles of a member of a parliament. Remember, garbage in, garbage out. You put in somebody who has loans, who has first of all sold land and all the properties, and it's like planting guavas and expecting mangoes at the end of the day.
Mr. Uzi already says that if a candidate doesn't have a certain amount of money, we should not entrust them with our support. Should that be the time that you are now manifesting or remembering what we should have done before? So should we buy the idea of honorable aspirant for Kampala Central, Honorable Uzi, that if you don't have money, you should not go to Parliament?
Should not be a leader, actually.
You should not be a leader. Partially, it's true. Because in my view, Parliament should not be a forum to enrich yourself. It should be a forum to give back to the people. Besides the Parliament, you should have other occupations that earn you money. Yes, if I go to Parliament, doesn't mean I'll cease my lawyering, isn't it? To earn me, as I said, and you should communicate expressly. Yes, I've not been in Parliament, but I'm a leader at all sorts and leading the same kind of people. Communicate clearly the expectations to the voters, the people you are leading, because there is an expectation that a member of Parliament earns a bigger amount of money, or 50 million, or how much. But if you break it down to a level of a constituency and the expectations they have, for instance, with that salary, how many are you able to pay for fees?
Yes.
So in the long run, I feel this orientation, if they were keenly listened with the right kind of package, because they saw the units they were lecturing them about, I'm very optimistic that if they were intentional on learning, we shall have a better 12th Parliament than the 11th Parliament, because the curriculum was spot on and the learning should continue, especially for our new members of Parliament. There is a lot to learn. Even the older ones, you can still learn. There is a lot you can learn so that you are effective in delivering services to the taxpayer out there.
Interesting. Let me get back to you, Phiona. All this that is done, what lessons do we draw, but also how do we pick what we think stood out for us in the leadership positions that we hold, you taking it back to Tororo and also being able to align with perhaps the members of Parliament all the way from Tororo? Briefly, in 2 minutes.
Well, one thing I've learned, we are all in the same boat. It is hot everywhere. You know, being a leader, now for example for the National Youth Council, whereby we don't even, at least for members of Parliament, they earn salary. Now as we don't even earn a penny, volunteer service, even worse. Someone calls you at midnight and they're telling you they have not eaten since morning, but you've also not eaten. Yes. So the whole misconception in the populace is the one that is actually worrying. And I really think one thing I've learned is it should be everyone's duty to educate everyone about what is expected of a leader. Because trust me, you are not safe. When you come and contest and you get there, you're going to realize that. Actually, of recent, I was discussing with one of my friends and was telling me, he was wondering because he has an acquaintance he knows that spent close to 2 billion in an election, and he was wondering where is someone going to recover this 2 billion. On top of that, you never get peace. After investing the 2 billion, you're going to have people calling you, my father has died, my grandmother has swallowed a needle, my kid's leg has gone, my kid has fallen from a pawpaw tree. Very weird excuses, like as if it is within your as if it is within what you're supposed to do. And now because you also want to come back, you have to find yourself compromised. You're compromised before you know you're entering into things that you're not supposed to do. And these are some of the challenges that we are facing, that members of Parliament can no longer even concentrate, because people expect you the same way you're picking 100 cause, 200 cause when you're vote hunting. Should be the same spirit you maintain up to now that you're supposed to pick 100 cause. When are you going to legislate? For instance, you've been for the retreat. You have to pay attention so that they don't say, you do not understand very well what Ramadan said. You do not understand the resolution. In your resolutions, you guys said you're going to support KCCA to improve mass transportation systems. You're not talking about it. We're even attentive. They want you to pay attention. When they see you do it, they don't understand that you spend the whole night understanding their issues. So I really think that as young leaders and and everybody and every citizen, because perhaps you see in the country they have created an image of the best role you can become is a member of parliament. I don't want to deny it is it's a very interesting title to hold, moving around. They call it MP. It is interesting, and I think everybody would want to, because they have created an image of the highest thing you can achieve perhaps at the moment in the country is when you're a member of parliament. Maybe that's why it's so competitive, because you wonder why everybody is interested in going to the August House. So I think it now gets back to us, and the lesson we all need to learn is we need all engage into civic engagement.
Interesting. Civic engagement. Let me get you, Manful, and if you can keep it less than 2 minutes, our time is fast spent. What reflections should we take on to continue sustainable but also effective leadership?
Before I want to speak about my brother's point where I spoke about over monetization, in 30 seconds, he was one of the delegates who were supposed to vote for us, and if it was not the billions of money, actually, I would be one of the members of parliament in the parliament. It happened, and you know.
Yes.
Because we are all there. I was a candidate, you are a delegate.
How did you vote for you? It was different.
I don't know the little votes that I got if there was yours. But,
the person was a voter. I was not a voter.
She was not. So, no, what we need to learn from this is, especially as the young generation, because we should understand that the future of this country actually lies in our hands as the generation, as the young people, as the young leaders. We need to be mindful of our country, because the coming generation actually will criticize us in case there is a mess in this country. We'll ask where we were as the mess was going on. So we need to be so mindful of our country, so mindful of what benefits our country in our day-to-day engagements. My comrades who are part of the National Youth Council, your engagements, you should be looking at what benefits our country. That is the most important thing. We should not engage, in who belongs to which political party. We have the National Senate, actually, where I believe we are all part of the group.
Sure.
And one of the last days I asked them, but you people, you find 1,000 messages, but when you go, you look through, you find that they are bickering, they are abusing each other, they are doing this and this. So, to me, I feel we should go that way, being mindful of what benefits our nation.
Interesting. Let me get to you, Karuhanga. What lessons should we pick?
Thank you very much once again. Comrade Manful really makes sweeping statements, but there is a very hidden point. As he told you, I'm affiliated to the National Resistance Movement, where we had internal democracies and settled for the best option. It would really be indiscipline of me to go against the party position. And you didn't even come to canvass for votes among my college in Bunyangabo. That put aside, but really, what Manful says, there are some reflections. Sometimes I have something I have to say. I'm sounding really so bold when talking about this. Sometimes I see a lot of Ugandans complain and very negative on social media. But you Ugandans, you are the ones who vote those leaders, who do not bring out the points that reflect you. When an opportunity comes, I don't know, but for some reasons, Ugandans' magnetism is pulled towards the leaders maybe who will feed them their stomach for the day. I think what Asinde has said, we should continue telling them, garbage in, garbage out. And Uganda is not devoid of good leaders. Even on this very panel, I see very many people qualified to serve even better in these positions. But for some reasons, yes, I can't dispute I'm very qualified as well, Manful. But for some reason, what Asinde put is we should be deliberate on establishing a meritocracy as a nation. Let every leadership position, even beyond the political ones, be given to those who have patriotism for the country, those who have the merit, the qualifications, not because they have a plug somewhere, That is why our nation will develop. If you see success stories of like a country like Korea, we'll say Singapore, at one time we were at the same economic footing with Uganda. How did they make an economic boom? And before you know, they are among the top economies of the world. One thing Lee Kuan Yew emphasized was meritocracy, meritocracy, and meritocracy. Going forward, we should stop singing and act. Let those who are very qualified take position. And it's not, you can't lead when you do not know the way. I beg to submit.
Thank you so much. And as well, Mary Evelyn, for following us online. Let me get your parting shots in less than a minute, and I'll start it off with you, Phiona.
I want to thank you so much, Trassyleen, for inviting me here. I always would love to say, let these discussions keep on going. These discussions, you see, I believe that one of the first steps to growth is knowledge and information. Let this information be in the public domain. Let people know what happened in the retreat. You know, the people know what happened in the retreat through social media. And the funny bit about social media, most of them are news anchors. They are journalists. They're looking for trending news. They crop that cabbage where someone say, Daddy, I want to be protected. Men are against me, man. Because it is interesting. That's what they crop and they pin everywhere. So there is a lot of misinformation spreading here and there. So it creates bias about many of these things that are actually so good for our country. So I think that I don't know why we have very many nice things happening in this country, but maybe the people who are responsible have never gotten intentional about putting it in the public domain. Because right now I think if there is anything that I would love to be saturated, I would love people to know the resolutions that we come up with in this retreat. Because they're very nice resolutions. If you read through them, they made very deliberate resolutions on economic reforms, on legislative reforms, on infrastructure, healthcare, health, education, and so on and so forth. So I really think that the first step should be, let this information be there. Let information be there. But then also I want to encourage Ugandans, get interested in reading. Stop only wanting to read things that are useless. You only want to get interested in Okello case. Okay, yes, he killed the folks, kids, yes, but there are things of national importance that we should all be paying attention to, at least for a fact, because right now we are having very many people dying of accidents. Every day, every hour, you're hearing this person has lost a life because of an accident.
Interesting. Let me get to you, Manful. Your parting shots in less than a minute.
Thank you so much, Trassyleen, for having me. I want to thank the colleagues with whom I have been with here on the panel, and the management of UBC for having these platforms for us, the youth, to speak to the nation and speak our minds. This is a disclaimer because I had not confirmed, but I saw something like an order paper for the next sitting of Parliament, where I believe there is a sovereignty bill coming up and you know, the pay as you earn. So I want to kindly request our members of Parliament, I know your term of office is getting done in a few, but you are rushing. I see committees sitting here and there. You know, you do us a favor, you know. Do us a favor. I thank you and I wish the viewers a blessed night.
Thank you so much, Manful. Karuhanga, your parting shots.
Yes, my parting shots. It's my clarion call and sincere appreciation to the management of Uganda Broadcasting Corporation for giving us this platform to shed light on these prevailing issues in the country. And to Ugandans outside there, you're not being in leadership, not being an MP, not being an LC5, not holding any leadership position, doesn't take away your duty as a citizen. You have duties to perform at the end of the day. We've had people influencing policy and bringing things to the attention of policy makers, decision makers, even when they are not in power. You only lose power when you think you do not have any. Let's keep making Uganda a better place to be, not a better place to be. Continue, you have the power. Even when something is going wrong, shed light on it. Even if you're on your phone, don't go for content only. Do something to national development. At the end of the day, you'll create or put a brick in making Uganda a better place. After all, there is no any other nation
that you belong to that will be yours. I beg to submit.
Thank you so much, Karuhanga, for that amazing conclusion on the call that you must be part. Citizens have a right and a duty to even hold the leaders that we entrusted with those positions, to actually call them to order where we feel they are not able to perform as we also expected them to do. But of course, this is Youth of Purpose, and today we were discussing the idea around the Kyankwanzi Leadership Training Center or Institute and the retreat that has been actually concluded today. What were the unfoldings? What are the take-homes in terms of national development, in terms of social capacity, in terms of unity in diversity, in terms of appreciating the roles that parliamentarians have to do, but also the duties that they hold towards citizens, duties of accountability, duties of making sure that service delivery is actually appreciated, talking about corruption and all that you can name it. And of course, I have been having Karuhanga Ronald, who is the District Youth Chairperson of Bunyangabo District under the National Youth Council, and is also a lawyer, and Abenaitwe Manful, who is a former Member of Parliament contestant for Western Region under the Forum for Democratic Change political party, and as well as Asinde Phiona Proscovia, who is the Secretary for Female Affairs Tororo District. And from U24 Television, we want to say thank you so much for always following us. We remind you that our show runs every Wednesday at 9 p.m. up to 10 p.m. See you next time. Trassyleen Ankunda.
Good night.
Youth of Purpose. Youth of Purpose.
My name is Mubaze Blair from St. Andrew Kagwa Gombe High School, and I'm a